As we all know, certain Pokemon can develop differently based on their environments, as they should. Alola showed us some of the alternatives. Exeggutor wasn't malnourished, Muk has finally embraced its inner trash man, and Raichu learned to catch some fat waves. As similar to Alolan forms, how would Pokemon adapt if raised in the UK? Who knows how moist and underdeveloped these creatures would have become if raised in a place as geographically bare minimum as England. But who knows how dangerous they may have become. Solrock would turn invisible, Pawniard would be sharper and a lot more violent, the mad crab himself could neck more pints. The possibilities are endless. I'm gonna try and think of the Pokemon that would have thrived in grayscale weather, would have thrived on their dependency of being a 5-minute walk away from a Tesco Express at any given time, would have thrived in the smell of dank in the ends. I'm gonna try and think of 10. This land is known for industrialization, and consequently, polluting our air to the point where one of our biggest stereotypes is being able to polish off a chimney by age 5. Kanto gets way too much of the limelight, I know. I swear I tried to keep him off this list, but for a generation as overrated as Kanto, a lot of them fit perfectly in for a country as overrated as England. This history of pollution is just asking for a coughing form. One of the most underrated designs, one that I can't even explain why. Something about its design just gets to me. And this would be a Muk level redemption. Before Alola, all Muk has ever been to me was a painfully easy joke to make to casual fans and an anger management session in Koga's gym. Then Alola exposed itself, and now this blob's terrorizing the UU tier like it's Delfino Plaza. I don't think you understand what kind of monster you'd be dealing with here. Weezing would become a poison dark type, but unlike Muk, it's not welded to the ground like a sunburnt Haribo, because with Levitate, its one weakness is gone. Pokemon Sword and Shield. There's gotta be some form of warrior or knight Pokemon around there somewhere. Maybe even an Aegislash form. I mean, I Pokemon Shield, you King Shield, he, she, we, Shield. But nah. Aegislash, you're buff enough. If you got shipped off to the UK, it's just gonna dull your blades down at this point. There's not much you could do to an Aegislash form to improve it that isn't cosmetic. And yeah, night-based Pokemon have been tapped into just a wee bit, but this is the go-to Galar form that everyone's thinking of, the idea everyone is wanting. I'm talking about a proper ironclad Alphonse Eric looking levitating suit of armor. Everyone's been predicting the Golurk Night form. Hell, go all out. Have him be really unstoppable wielding an Aegislash forged by Galarian steel. Not that the dense hunk of metal needs it. He's got one of the most resistant types going with Ghost and Steel in this form. I'm just hoping that they wouldn't go full Queen's Guard with the design. Have a bit of aspects to it, yeah, whatever, but less protecting the queens and more chasing the Scooby-Doo around than abandoned spooky gaff sesh. Back in the day, witchcraft was one of our favourite pastimes. Not like making potions like that dweeb Ari Porker, mainly just battering the elderly for the bants, innit? Apparently by 1750, around 200,000 witches were killed off in Western Europe. Everyone gets judged by how they look to some degree, I guess. Can you imagine living in an era where you got burnt alive just because you looked a bit clapped? We all have rough days. Like, I was just going to Tesco, get some tropical juice. Man's hungover. How you gonna call me a witch? Can't just go shops without you lads getting the pitchforks out. Being a nation that was once that paranoid of witches, to me it makes sense that Misdreavus would have adapted itself to become stronger to fight or to conceal itself. Miss Magus, I love you. I mean, I'm fickle with who my favourites are, but you're probably my favourite ghost type. Like, consistently in the top 3 with Haunter and Spiritomb. But here's the deal though, you'd probably stay at number 1 if you just sorted yourself out. You've got the most balanced, yet unbalanced stats going. The point where you're pretty much outclassed in every aspect. Noticing a trend here. A lot of Pokemon seem to be fixed up by making them brighter and slapping the fairy sticker on them. But making Mismagius a fairy ghost type makes it near one of a kind straight away. That alone would make it relevant again. But statistically, it needs to be decided whether or not it should be on the offense or defense. All I know is it needs to stop being on the fence. In my opinion, its low 3 stats aren't worth saving. Maybe buff up the HP a bit, but for the most part they're too low to salvage. Lower the attack since it's useless anyway, and take the special defense down a peg just to spread them over the speed and attack. focused on Golurk. Some of you may even be focused on that Galarian Steel Forged Aegislash. But you have to remember, not all of the knights are going to be Galarian Steel Scooby-Doo villains. You're all too focused on the prospects of Galarian. You're all too busy playing checkers, when I'm over here playing 7D Galarian chess with my Bishop forms. Because that could work towards finishing up the entire chess set. Have them with varying stat changes and moves based on the piece that they represent. There's a lot of ways they could go about with this. Bishop is already a physical attacker, a Rook counterpart could be defensive, or maybe even special attack heavy with a different move pool to reflect that. And that Queen form that's got speed for days. Oh mama. The most versatile on the board, and I actually get King form as well, or whatever, bit of everything, yeah. Actually no, the King form can be based around HP and defense, since technically, he's the most difficult to take down, right? But that Queen form, god damn. There's a lot of weird, you know, too quiet villages, isolated countrysides, and weird abandoned castles that are scattered around the UK, and that old abandoned, creepy castle style, that got me thinking about a palisand rock form, one that imitates actual castles around the region. In its current form, it just wouldn't cut it here. If you were on a game show in my country and you won the Beach Holiday prize, then you lost. The sand around here isn't exactly the full Ainsley. It'd just be moist pebble with a strongbow can lodged into it palisand form. But the castle form, palisand would be to castles what Coffagrigus is to coffins. Kinda? Like, it's the spirit of palisand possessing pieces of an old castle to fortify itself. That's what I'm trying to say. Not only would this make for a unique design, because this would make for the first ever rock ghost type. One thing is, I may have to take it down to my old pal Name Rayer, because palisand is getting 0 ratings if you're made of rock. Let's assume, for some ungodly, double-deckered Harry Poker, One Direction, goggled perception of the UK Game Freak may have is too thick-rimmed. Let's say we don't get a new breed of lion Pokemon, whether legendary or not. No 3 lions trio, no box art boy, nothing. In that dire situation, we must resort to desperate measures. We need to resort to a Galarian Pyroar. This design is not bad to begin with, necessarily. Nothing that'd floor my jaw with an anvil sound effect playing, but it's okay. But practically, it's an underwhelming mess. Just redo it, take it back, try again, clean slate for the big man. I don't want to see an XD on the end of that Pyroar when it comes back. First, get that normal type wiped off. Get it out of here. I don't like them. Buff up those stats. I don't give a damn if the Kalos form has weaker stats by far. Get the fire hose, max it out, leave it running in the move pool for a good few days. And then once you fix the coding of it, you get him on the stakes and weights. You send this design back to Game Freak like, yeah boss, let me get that shape up, you get me? You have a lion designed to strike fear into the hearts of the rest of the world, because the Pyroar of old isn't pulling his weight being on that crest. Again, let's assume a unicorn isn't thrown into Gen 8's new selection of super capsule friends, even with the Scottish lore. And as much as it pains me to give Kanto more formed attention, I think we all know a Galarapidash form is on lockdown. I'd much prefer a new unicorn Pokemon, and I'm half convinced it'll be a legendary. But at least if they went in this direction, it'd make for a decent redesign. Practically though, I don't really think I know what you would bring to the table that other fairy types haven't already brought, so you may be out of luck there, Rapidash. Unless, if they were really ballsy, if they really want to go unprecedented, they want to go and make the first ever fairy fire dual type. Alright, yeah, alright, now you're talking, now you got my attention. Yeah, it's new, go with that. I feel like this next one is similar to the concept of having a lion. In a country where kicking a swan would have likely deemed you a filthy witch and have you sent to the guillotine, take them away! No, we don't do that kind of stuff anymore. It's too medieval. It's 2019, judgment's passed in a much more civilized manner. Obviously, the Queen would lock you in a guillotine choke herself, but like the Queen and her deadly jujitsu arsenal, people forget how dangerous swans are. Not like actually dangerous, but they still slap you up. Like the lion, they need a somewhat viable option in Galar as well, even just for being the Queen's animal. That's where a royal swanner form would come into play, because this one, like many of you Nova ones, goes under the radar. I mean, to be fair, not much for the radar to detect, and honestly, even with a form change, I can't see that radar picking up much else. I still can't see that much to salvage here, but if you had to try and salvage it, more reliable moves, better ability, I don't know, just chuck the pixie dust on it, make it a fairy, it seems to work for most of them. I can only really see this one being a cosmetic change to suit the Galar region, or to suit not being completely forgettable. That's good enough for it. Or I guess Aegislash, bring Aegislash in. You can be in the list after all, cosmetic you all up, you wee stick. Back on that 7D Galarian chessboard, we've got the pawns all the way through to the Queen herself, but there's one missing. I can talk my way into selling off a smoky wheezing to you people. I don't think I can do the same for a Bishop horse form. There needs to be a new breed of horse, one built for war! There's a handful of horses in the Pokemon world, and there's one that comes to mind, but if it weren't for the HM system in Sun and Moon, I'd have forgotten Mudsdale exists. I'm not saying Mudsdale should get bitten on the head by a Scottish Shelder and have a unicorn form, but a proper ironclad horse would make this thing a lot more bearable. With a resistant type combination of steel and ground, the stamina ability defense boost can stack up a lot more, and along with that typing, a bit more air can be pumped into that shallow inflatable move pool it's got going. Ironhead alone would make Mudsdale a far more threatening and annoying physical attacker to come up against. If I had to go back and choose another Kanto Pokemon to get a form after Alola handing him out by the Skittle, if given only one choice and really I should have zero, a Unicorn Rapidash? That's tempting. A Smoky Wheezing. Actually... Look, there's another one that deserves it way more. You might remember this from such hits as Pokémon, the anime, and the surf icon in the best game. You use the frontman as the embodiment of surf. Wait, I just got deja vu. Some of you older viewers may have as well, because I've wanted Lapras since Alola forms were announced to begin with, so I feel no shame throwing a third Cantonian monstrosity on this list, but here it fits in perfectly. The Loch Ness Lapras. And this banging art alone is what sold it to me once again 2.5 years later. Lapras got outclassed as the generations went on. I mean, there's a fair few reasons, but really, ice. You're dead. And every creature with you slapped on it isn't far off. If you were an ice type, you're probably about to faint before this video ends. But the tricky part here is, ice is far too fitting for Lapras, especially with a design similar to this. So if the legend of the Loch Ness Lapras wants to survive past being a fridge magnet in a gift shop, it needs a decent type to go with it. Maybe Dragon. Maybe Fairy again to go with the Loch Ness tails. Or maybe if you really want to beef Lapras up, you give it Ice, as hard as steel. A really resistant type combination and buffed up defenses. Maybe it wouldn't be near extinct. But I don't know. Maybe it'll end up dead again. I just want him to do something with Lapras.